Contents of this episode may not be suitable for all. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again on the Staircase for the second edition of Staircase Conspiracies. I am your host, Nicholas.
And I'm your other host, Nathan.
So today we have another mind-bending conspiracy, the same as last week. We still don't know who the hell killed JonBenet Ramsey. If you have not listened to the first episode, go back and listen to that. Stop this episode, click down below in the description, listen to that one first, then come back to this one so you're not behind on the episodes. So today we're going to be talking about red rooms on the dark web. I know, Nate, I spoke to you about this last week and you had no idea what any of that meant.
Yeah, no clue at all. You mentioned red rooms and can't even think of one thing that could be. I have no idea. You mentioned dark web and I'm a little afraid of what it might end up being. So I'm excited.
Yeah, no, me too, man. This is a really good one. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. What would you do if you had unlimited money but already bought everything your imagination could come up with? They say a large number of crimes are committed due to boredom. A very select few of the so-called elite billionaires are invited to join what they call a real red room. And no, I'm not talking about the rooms where film is produced. I'm talking about a room where poor innocent people are tortured and then brutally murdered for the viewing entertainment of the richest and most powerful people across the world.
Dude, I was afraid it was going to be this. When you said dark web. Okay, great. Tell me more.
A small group of people log on to a secure server via the Onion router, or often referred to as just Tor, T-O-R, which is basically a completely anonymous web browser that is used to access the deep web, or the dark web, as many call it.
What's Tor? What do you mean by Tor, T-O-R? Is that like a search engine like Google?
So basically, Tor is like a web browser. So if you use like Firefox or Google Chrome,
Safari,
okay, that's basically what that is. But it's much more complex than all of that.
Okay.
So basically, just a little background. Tor was actually invented by the military for basically transferring secret documents, encrypted documents, and all that, because it's completely anonymous and really secure. So that's basically what Tor is.
Can anyone access the Tor?
Yes. Yeah.
Website? Good
question. So everyone can download Tor. It's totally free. A lot of people use it just to be anonymous. Whistleblowers use it to post basically government secrets like Edward Snowden, all that sort of stuff.
Do the police monitor people's activity on there?
They can, but it's really difficult which we'll talk about in a little while, honeypots, which is basically like a sting operation. The only way they can monitor it is if they set up the actual Onion site. So basically a website on the Onion is, instead of .com, it's .onion.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, I've never heard of that before. It's .onion. Why?
Yeah, and there's something called the Hidden Wiki.
Onion because of layers.
Oh, you know what? That's probably exactly what that means. That is probably exactly what that is. Yeah. So basically, there's something called the Hidden Wiki, which is basically Google. So basically the best way to think of it, and I'll put a meme on the screen kind of explaining a really good explanation of it, is basically if you see a big iceberg on top, this top surface is only like a little tiny portion you can see. Looks like a little piece of ice. Underneath the ocean, it's a big, huge piece of ice. So basically the surface web that we know it of Google and .coms and
it's
everything.
Just the tip of the iceberg.
It's just the tip of yeah, exactly.
Got it.
That's a really good way to kind of think about it, kind of an explanation. And also when I just want to say this ahead of time, the deep web is actually a really good tool for anonymous browsing and purchasing things that aren't illegal. A lot of non-illegal activity goes on the deep web. A lot of really good things happen on there. A very small portion of it, just like our internet, there's child porn and a bunch of really bad stuff on this regular internet as well. The deep web is actually a really good tool and really awesome thing if you're safe on it and do it for legal things.
Got it. Wow.
These sick individuals sit back in the comfort of their own home while watching these terrified people be tortured in every way imaginable, while locked away in a room where the walls are stained with blood from past victims.
So it's called the Red Room because there's blood on the walls.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't know where these red rooms are. I would imagine abandoned buildings, or maybe even just a building that somebody rented out for that. We're talking about the richest people in the world. Like they make Jeff Bezos look poor. Like, that's how rich they are. We're talking about the elite of the elite. I don't know if you believe in the Illuminati or not. Basically, that level of power.
That's another theory for another time. You save that one.
Yeah. So basically, that level of power where this, like, laws aren't a thing. They do whatever they want.
So how involved do these billionaires get? I mean, are they torturing people too, or are they just...
Right. Yeah, that's a good question, and we'll get to that in just a moment here. So basically, red rooms, you can't just stumble upon them. Like, you can't go on the hidden wiki, which is, basically the Google of dark web, and just randomly come across a red room. The links are exclusively passed out and kept completely secret, which, of course, is because it's highly illegal.
Now, when you say, like, they have to give them an access code, that's like similar to people who have like private parties and stuff like that, and you have to be like those really crazy parties where it's like you don't even know where the location's going to be until like the day of or 2 hours before or something like that. So this is just kind of like that, just
it's
on
exactly
another level.
Like that. Yes. And so if you go on YouTube right now and type in Red Room, you're going to find a bunch of fake videos that are from art projects and art students, like really weird looking stuff. And it's going to have a title of Disturbing Red Room Footage. But believe me, don't waste your time with that. Those are 100% fake. If anyone uploaded footage to YouTube, it would be taken down immediately. There's no way that these videos would be getting millions and millions of views. And not only that, but who is going to record a red room illegal activity that they're witnessing and paid for access to on YouTube? So don't even waste your time with that.
Well, if YouTube is on our regular online, and to access these red rooms, you'd have to be... Can you access YouTube on the dark web?
I don't think so.
So if you're watching it on YouTube, you're not in the right spot.
Yeah, so a lot of times what happens is there's a lot of people that do deep web videos, and some of them are really good. They go on the deep web and just kind of explore things and kind of show people what it's all about. Some Ordinary Gamer, that's a YouTube channel I really like. He does a whole series of deep webs. Like basically every Sunday he goes on there and just kind of searches for stuff, really cool stuff. And a lot of the videos that are on the deep web, he does it in the series. He shows one video he found on the deep web. 90% of the ones are basically, a lot of these videos, they get taken off of the clear web, which is our web that we know. That's what it's referred to as, and put on the deep web, and they put like, somebody getting killed or something. But really, it's just like a scene from a movie that's really edited and to make it look low quality and stuff like that. So,
I see.
Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff going on. But
so this is like in the world of like Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And speaking of Jeffrey Epstein, there's actually a guy named Peter Scully, which is basically a really bad dude. He's an Australian man who was living in the Philippines, and he actually filmed himself doing some of the most unspeakable things to young children. I'm not going to go into detail of what it is, and I mean, you can look it up, read the articles yourself, but I don't really recommend doing that because it's really, really disturbing stuff. Like, I'm not even just saying that for a fact. It's really, really disturbing.
Jeez, he was Australian?
Yeah, he was Australian, and he was living in the Philippines with his girlfriend. Basically, they were a team in recruiting these young kids. Very similar to what's going on with Jeffrey Epstein and his wife or mistress or whatever. I don't know her name, but that's currently on trial or whatever.
Dude, that happens all the time where there's killers where... they are hurting people or hurting girls, and then their wife or their girlfriend is kind of in on it too. So, that's crazy. Definitely attracts crazy.
Absolutely, dude. Very, very sick stuff. So basically, he filmed himself in a movie, I guess you can call it, called Daisy's Destruction, which is really a popular, I don't really want to say popular, but it's a really known thing. Of anyone that knows about the deep web or dark web knows about Daisy's Destruction, where he basically, again, does the most horrific things to this little girl, basically 5-year-old girl that was taken from her parents. And I'm not going to go into details again, but just to give you an idea of how sick this is, a Filipino police chief called it, quote, the worst we have ever encountered in our years campaigning against child pornography.
Oh my gosh, that's like making him the poster child for sickos, basically. For creeps.
Yeah, man. So this girl was 5 years old, taken from her parents, and this video was put up basically on the deep web as basically a pay-per-view sort of thing. It didn't happen live. It wasn't a live stream like a Red Room, but it's the same sort of concept. You have to access it. You have to get a basically invitation to see this. You have to pay a lot of money to do it.
Multiple children in this film?
Not that particular one is about one girl. We don't know the identity, but basically they think her name is Barbie, a Filipino girl that this happened to,
And
she
he's involved. He's the one on
he's
camera.
the one that's doing it. Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, and the girl was actually, again, 5 years old, kidnapped from her family. They think her name was Barbie, but we don't obviously know the name of the child that was basically tortured and raped and murdered, because she is underage, obviously. But there's rumors that her name was Barbie from the Philippines. And this was all up for viewing, basically as a pay-per-view, in a sense, on the deep web. So this basically isn't a Red Room, but this is kind of the same thing along the lines of people being murdered and tortured and people paying money to view it, a lot of money to view it. It's very secretive, but this wasn't live streamed like an actual Red Room.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty sick stuff. Nobody officially knows just how a link is provided or even how much access costs.
So if you can't find these rooms, it's like impossible to find, then it's also almost impossible to find anyone who's doing it too.
Yeah, unless, again, if it's the whole honeypot thing, unless the feds or FBI or whatever sets up an actual fake page and gets your information that way.
Oh, okay.
But even that is so hard because the Onion router is, just as you mentioned, in Onion, it gives you so many layers, just like it's like a VPN on steroids. It's basically completely anonymizes your location, your information. And not only that, but in order to pay, they use Bitcoin, which is so extremely hard to track that down as well. So even if they create a fake page and you give them information, the information that you're giving them is anonymous itself. So it's really hard to catch these people, man.
That's insane.
Yeah. Some say it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars and others say millions. My guess, it would probably be millions of dollars. There's a lot of videos online of people trying to access a Red Room and the cost says, a certain amount in Bitcoin, which actually translates to like $1,000. But there's no way in hell that these people are paying only $1,000. There's no way in hell. Those are scams right there, or honeypots. So if any YouTuber says that they found a Red Room, they're completely full of it. Some say Red Rooms are completely made up because no one has ever seen one. But if they were real, would anybody really know about it? And would anybody really brag about being a part of this illegal ritual?
So you're saying it may not even be true?
Well, that's the thing. I personally think that stuff like this happens all the time. They may not be specifically labeled Red Room.
Okay.
Red Rooms may not exist, but this sort of stuff, I would bet my life that this sort of stuff goes on all the time.
Well, this Peter Scully guy was obviously arrested for doing stuff very similarly and making money off of it, right?
Yeah, man. He made a lot of money.
Did they ever track down who? Oh, I guess not, because it's kind of hard to track down if you're watching anonymously.
Well, they found this Peter Scully guy. There's a really good 60-minute episode where they kind of break it down and how they found him and whatnot. So I definitely recommend going to watch that if you want to learn more about this guy. But yeah, he is currently waiting trial. I believe he's in Australia. They exported him to Australia, and the prosecutors are actually pushing to get the death penalty brought back just for this guy. That's how bad he is.
Wow. That's insane, dude.
Yeah.
Red Rooms.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
But over time, we've seen a lot of these scandals uncovered. We've seen the most recent would be Jeffrey Epstein, just as you mentioned, and, the so-called pedophile island. I mean, if you go on Google Earth and just look at that island, it looks like something where this stuff would go on. I mean, it's really freaky looking.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen documentaries with the Epstein, and you're right. I mean, Jeffrey Epstein had, crazy amounts of money, and no one knew where he had his money and where that came from, and how many other guys are like that, where they just have money. I mean, probably, man, that's why it's a good conspiracy, because
yeah,
it's like, man, that you would think if you have all this money, then that's the only way something like this can even be out there, is if you can afford to keep things quiet.
Exactly. Yep.
Oh, that was great.
So I really don't think this is too far-fetched to say that there's people paying for access to a live stream on the deep web where this sort of stuff goes on. I mean, I don't think that's too far-fetched to say that, especially with this Peter Scully guy, with Jeffrey Epstein, all the other scandals we've seen. I think this is absolutely something that goes on.
Wow. What a shame.
Yeah, man. It's really
Scary.
sick stuff, man. And another thing I always wonder is the victims, if this stuff goes on, how are the victims selected? Is it just random kidnappings? Is it somebody that did the rich person dirty? I mean, is it criminals? I mean, I don't know. That's something else that I've often wondered. How are they selected?
Yeah, it was probably opportunity. The way sex trafficking is. It's, picking up girls at airports or, girls at a new street or boys at a, new party or, I guess maybe it's just opportunity.
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
it's a good question. Time. Yeah. I mean, maybe they had a shortage of, blondes.
Yeah, man.
I don't know. That's creepy.
Yeah, it's really sick stuff. That is the story of the Red Rooms. Hit the like button, subscribe. However you're listening to this, hit the follow button if it's on Spotify and all that good stuff.
If you guys are more interested in hearing content in a more story-like setting, you can always check out Staircase Stories, YouTube, Spotify, anywhere where you get your podcasts. Check that out as well. We have so much more content for you guys coming. Staircase Conspiracy is going to keep on rolling out week after week. And as always, guys, thanks for visiting us on the Staircase. Peace.
Later.